From TRICHOMES.com, I'm Jason Kitamura, and this is Tech in Cannabis. I talk with game changers in the tech community to gain valuable insights into the future of the fast-paced cannabis industry. Today, we are joined by Sarvesh Mathur of Greenbits, the largest retail platform in cannabis with over $4 billion in sales. We talk about how he began his career as a CTO in the cannabis space, along with how Greenbits is helping dispensaries be successful far beyond simply through their point-of-sale systems and compliance, with tools like powerful analytic data and first-class education and certification for their employees. And today I want to welcome Sarvesh Mathur, CTO of Greenbits, to the show. Thanks for coming on.
Happy to be here, Jason. Thanks for the invite. Look forward to an interesting conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you out there that don't know Greenbits, essentially Greenbits is a POS software, but they get a lot deeper than that with inventory and compliance and things like that. Maybe you can expand a little bit about what your company does.
Sure. So Greenbits is the largest point of sales and retail cannabis and management platforms in the industry. So we are used by dispensaries to manage a couple of things. So one is the compliance management, as you had mentioned. So each of the different states that we operate in have various legal requirements, and we help individual dispensaries manage all of the legal compliances without a lot of the complexity. So we hide a lot of the changes that, let's say, a state government might make, change some regulation. Greenbits will protect them from those things. You just have to keep using the product, and the product will protect you from a lot of the regulation impacts and really saves the work of going back and kind of synchronizing data with your state systems.
No, I was just going to say that in this industry, compliance is a big deal. Everybody kind of struggles with it. Things are different in different locations, but you guys have managed. I think I saw you guys were named the largest retail platform. You guys did $4 billion at the time of that report that I saw. I know you guys really tout a lot of the ease of use. Do you attribute most of your success to that factor, or is there something else?
Well, I think we were one of the first point of sale solutions in retail cannabis back in 2016, and we've basically grown a lot since there, and we've really put together a platform that's really best of class in many areas. So we're well known. Some of the solutions are just web based. We really try to focus on the store experience as best as possible. So we actually have a mobile app which runs a point of sales. So it has a lot faster responsiveness and more responsive than web-based solutions. And then, of course, we integrate with all different types of hardware, and that's kind of the point of sale side of it is really all about having a great experience for the bud tenders, interacting with their customers, and then, of course, preventing any kind of compliance problem. So, for example, one interesting fact is that we found we have this thing called Greenbits University, which is an amazing service that Greenbits has generated, which I believe is unique in the industry, created by Christy Lutz, who's done an amazing job with that system. And basically, it allows for a training experience for bud tenders. So as stores hire on bud tenders, it makes it much easier to manage if your bud tenders are trained and can consistently work with the product in the correct way. Because right now, it's about 3 months is about the average tenure of a bud tender, which is a lot less than I believe. But looking at our Greenbits University data, it shows that they don't last very long in a particular store. So there's always new people coming, new people, and people leaving. So in order to have a consistent, well-managed experience, Greenbits University is really quite a differentiator, I think, for the industry. That's really had great success.
Yeah, I mean, especially now that cannabis has been around for a while, but as far as a emerging vertical for technology companies, it's kind of the boom, and everybody's going to the money first, so which is POS systems. So there's a ton of startup POS systems. There's a lot of in dispensary type solutions. But yeah, the university, I took a look at it. It looks like you guys even offer certifications for
Hmm.
different roles.
Hmm.
Which is great. I see that as being kind of a bottleneck for a lot of these companies that, with the turnover rate being so high, you're going to spend a lot of time retraining that person. So your
Hmm.
solution, yeah, you're right. There's not too many that focus on that side of the business, which is, I think, huge. What do you think? Where did you guys get the motivation to kind of go beyond that box? Because as like a software company or just software as a service, you guys step a lot beyond that, trying to help the business thrive in so many different ways. I mean, where does that come from with you guys?
Well, I think it comes back to experience. So we've been in the industry a while, and so we've seen the kind of problems and challenges that our customers have, and and consistency of operations was one of them. Especially in many states, compliance can be complicated, and to be able to make sure the right processes are followed is really important to have a great experience for our customers, but then also ourselves. We want to make sure our product is as easy to use as possible. And to do that, if we certify or help our customers get certified, we ensure smooth operating for the customers and less calls to our call center. So it's really a win-win for everybody. And to give you an example, we have over 3,500 people in the industry have been trained using Greenbits University, and over 2,500 of them actually have some certification. So for example, we have certification, as I said earlier, for bud tenders, so they know how to properly dispense product. We have another certification for the store manager to manage that store, and another one for an inventory manager to kind of manage the inventory and the compliance correctly. So that's been very popular. And another challenge has been that the product changes over time, laws change, so bud tenders should also recertify after a period of time to make sure they're up with the latest changes and new legal requirements.
Now I don't know if you have this data, but it'd be pretty interesting because I know, like we were just speaking about before, about the turnover rate being so high in the industry. Do you see that there is a little better rate when you have a certified employee versus somebody who's not?
I don't have that data handy, but we do hear from our customers that the Greenwich University program has been it was really important to them and really helps them manage their stores better. So I would imagine there'd be some correlation.
Absolutely. And I did notice, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys actually offer the university to people who actually aren't even your clients as well. Anybody can go to the university. Is that
That's
correct?
right. Just you're able to engage. Just you can basically reach out to Greenbits, and we'd love to do our part for the industry. And certainly we'd want the opportunity to show our platform if possible. But otherwise, it's a great resource, I think, for the industry as well.
Yeah, especially, with the whole jobs situation. This vertical is creating a lot of jobs. So there's a lot of new employment opportunities in cannabis. Which leads me, I guess, to a question for you. How did you start getting involved in cannabis? I know, just from a little digging, your background is pretty much traditional software and SaaS, software as a service platforms.
Yeah.
How did you get into the cannabis industry?
Well, it's interesting. Well, I've spent most of my career in supply chain startups. So I've been innovating in procurement, shipping, logistics, and that kind of in that world for the most part. And my last startup was Scout RP. Once it got acquired by Workday, I was kind of looking for my next adventure, and I was really excited to find Greenbits, and because I've really started looking at the cannabis industry, and I started realizing it's so rare to have an opportunity to kind of get into a nascent industry that isn't yet well developed, that has all the signs of growing. And because one of the challenges I've seen, or should say challenge, maybe more the frustrations I've had over the last decades really in supply chain has been information. And in supply chains in general, information tends to be kind of encapsulated in one area or the other, and there's usually competitive reasons why people don't share the information, which actually limits its value and its ability to really improve an industry. And in the cannabis industry, what's quite interesting and really exciting to me is the fact that there is mandated seed to sale tracking in so many states that it creates a place where a lot of very important information can be shared across the supply chain. And so literally from when a grower is doing their planting all the way to the time that our customers actually make a final sale at a register, everything is able to be tracked. And with that information comes the ability to look at that information, compare it with our information that we're gathering in our systems, and really use it to do some amazing innovations that are still yet to be realized. And but the fact that the information is available is quite amazing and leads to a lot of potential that I think the industry hasn't tapped yet.
Yeah, absolutely. There's, the compliance is a nightmare for a lot of these companies, and something easy to understand is going to, go a long way with a lot of these businesses.
Yeah. But one thing I want to add was kind of amusing is that even though I really didn't know much about cannabis till I joined Greenbits, I actually went to school at a place called Hempfield Senior High School in Pennsylvania.
And so the writing was on the wall.
Yeah, literally, it was, I don't know if you know this, but Pennsylvania, William Penn, when he founded Pennsylvania in 1681, he actually made the Commonwealth. He intended it just to grow hemp. That was kind of the main purpose for Pennsylvania. And certainly, Hempfield Township, where I kind of grew up, was definitely kind of central to that theme. So it was a huge cash crop there until about the 1930s. There was something called the reefer madness. I don't know if you've heard about that in cannabis history. Right. That kind of shut down hemp in Hempfield County until 2018, where that Farm Bill of 2018 actually is, allowed hemp to be regrown now as long as it has less than 0.3% THC. Hemp is coming back, and there's a whole bunch of CBD activity now that's starting there again after quite a long time.
That's so interesting. It's full circle, and you now in the cannabis industry. But I always like to kind of ask some of the guests, especially when they come from a traditional background, if what type of response you got when you told your colleagues and people hey, I'm going to go into cannabis. It's getting more accepted. It's getting more mainstream. People are starting to understand, but it wasn't like that even a few years ago. So how'd that go for you?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because, I'm sure that the people's reaction will vary. But even to be honest, even when I was going to join the industry, I had to think about this. I was like, okay, here I've been, and it comes back down to what I said, like that reefer madness scare. From the 30s is that it's they're at that time they were trying to paint cannabis as weed from the devil and all kinds of other really kind of crazy stereotypes that they threw into it at the time. And but I grew up very traditionally from I was born in India. I came here when I was 3, so I pretty much have the old world values of of being relatively conservative and not drinking alcohol, not smoking, and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of grew up really clean, even in Hempfield Township. But coming into the industry, I started looking at it and started realizing that even in the I'm originally from India, as I was saying, that in the Indian culture, actually. Cannabis turns out to be a very important part of our history and even our religious religious sect. So, for example, I believe there's an ancient Hindu text called the Atharva Veda, and that Veda was something like 2,000 plus years old. And in there's actually very detailed information about cannabis and what it's used for, what does it do, and it's often called in Sanskrit bhang, bhang. So bhang actually it actually means, if the root of the word means to break or split, and so culturally the bhang is meant to break or split your mental burdens from your true self. And so it's a very spiritual, uplifting effect that many different sects in India actually use, and even in some variants actually use as an offering to God, as in religious ceremonies, as the leaves of the cannabis plant are actually used in that purpose. And but you may not also know is like this week is a Hindu celebration of Mahashivratri, and there's another one called Holi, which is really popular, and it's like the festival of colors. And in both of those events, it's really common in India for the average Indian to go drink bhang, and they have a kind of it's a milk beverage. It's kind of like a milkshake, but it actually has cannabis in it, and it's everywhere. It's pretty common in the culture. So then I was looking at that, and then after seeing that, it has a lot of really great uses, and the Atharva Veda even goes into a lot of the medical uses of it for even they talk about seizures as well, which has now become well known. But even back then, it was understood that was a medicine for that. And there's different types of preparations. It was actually quite involved. So after looking at all that, I said, I thought that it really makes a lot of sense, and its time has come. And in terms of kind of people's reactions, it's usually quite entertaining. Everybody who knows that I'm in the cannabis industry then immediately think I'm like Walter White and I'm Breaking Bad or something. But but yes, a lot of them are now are actually consuming edibles. So.
That's funny. Well, I mean, technically, since you guys are the largest retail platform and you're spearheading it, you're technically responsible for a lot of cannabis consumption.
Which is hit over like $4.1 billion in sales on our customers' sites last year, and it's continuing to grow. It's just amazing, and it's been a great ride.
That is amazing, and you guys get a lot of analytical data. I'm assuming from your systems. What type of trends are you seeing now that legalization's kind of getting a little bit more prevalent and a lot of talks? Are you seeing those trends translate in the data you're getting?
Yeah, it's actually very interesting that we have 420 is coming up in a month. So one of the things we do is before 420 we need to make sure we can handle the extra load, which typically happens 420. And so I was looking at some of that data recently, and I was looking back at the year. And what was interesting is, we usually get like a 20% spike in kind of our AWS usage during that time, typically. But what was interesting is just looking at the trend, literally from last April all the way into December. It was a nice, pretty smooth, just general increase in use. So it's more like I think same store sales have really improved a lot. And what was surprising is that by December, I think the peak for the entire year was, I believe, December 17th, and that was like almost 3 times as much as 420. So just within the year, there's been a huge increase in activity. So I can say in general that's been the case. I know edibles seems to be a growing category as new people come into the space. That seems to be an area people catch on, and one thing though is it's hard to make generalizations for the whole industry because it's very much a state-driven phenomenon. So what's allowed in one state, what gets popular in one state, kind of varies. So it's very interesting to watch this evolve.
Yeah, absolutely. Aside from, I guess, the mobile app deployment on your end, what's new with Greenbits, or what's the plans for the near future?
Yeah, so we've been adding a lot of real big improvements recently. We've come out with a whole new analytics platform to allow a lot more slicing and dicing and really understanding the data that's generated within a store. And we're kind of at the beginning of that, but there's an amazing amount of rich data that's available on consumers, inventory, and really the kind of what the interesting problem I think that we're going to look at is going to be really matching the supply with the demand, which really I don't think really has looked at in a big way in the cannabis industry, and actually utilize all this data we have. And we have a decent amount of data. So we're about 1 in 4 stores, from 1 in 4 dispensaries in the U.S. are using Greenbits. So we do have a large, broad base of data to leverage. And we're definitely looking at ways of using that to really make and help automate the stores and help the store managers really run their business more efficiently and more profitably.
Now, does your software solution extend also to the procurement and the sources, from the different products, or is it more the analytical data that you're sharing with them to kind of?
Well, the Greenbits product right now is focused mostly on on store management, so on the dispensaries and on movement of data coming into the store, incoming manifests and processing those to add inventory to the store, then all of the activity that's required to run your store, and then the actual sales side. Now, we have really we're really great partners, and we have a fairly open API to work with other integrators. So we're working very closely with companies like Dutchie to really get the e-commerce side of ordering integrated well with Greenbits. And so we have a lot. So we don't really get into those other areas at this time, but there are definitely things we're going to keep our eye on, and we're looking to do as we grow potentially. And we also have a lot of innovations coming out right now on kind of within the product, like handling different things. On the feature we call places to basically handle product differently in different parts of a dispensary. We've got also new features related to delivery, since that's been an exciting new development in some states, that we can actually have stores actually deliver to the customer's home. So supporting delivery is also another pretty cool feature that we've added recently that we're going to continue to develop.
Is that like a delivery kind of mobile app that ties in with the POS system?
Not quite yet. Kind of our first step is to just allow phone orders and e-commerce orders to come in, and then allow those orders to be delivered. So each of the different states like Michigan, Nevada, and Oregon each have slightly different regulation on what's allowed, what's not allowed, what kind of information has to flow, and things like that. So kind of a lot of it is more along the regulatory side of legally doing deliveries, and then making sure although everything is done in the right way.
Got it. I also did notice that you guys are, you mentioned that you're partnered with Dutchie, and you integrate with them, and you also integrate with Leafly, Weed Maps. I saw Enlighten also. We just had Jeremy on the show.
Yeah.
What other I guess platforms do you guys integrate with? Or
well, we tend to keep a neutral ground on terms of our API and have an open API. So any dispensary wants to integrate with another party that we don't really have to get involved too much in it. Our customers themselves can create an API key and self-service and provide that to an integrator, and they'll be able to get access to that dispensary's data only and integrate. So it'd be very difficult to solve every single product out there, but we definitely enable a lot of things to happen. And also some of the stores are really sophisticated. Some of the larger stores can actually have their own IT people who are actually building their own custom solutions. So they're also pulling out our API key and doing custom things to run their store their way.
Yeah, so essentially you're providing the tools for people to create the solutions using the platform that you have.
Right, exactly. Because we're kind of holding the bread and butter data to run the store, but we certainly respect the rest of the industry and try to do our best to make this a great experience for the customer, however they choose to do so.
That's great. Yeah, just an interesting question for you. I like to ask people who are kind of responsible for the tech side, the CTOs, instead of like the CEOs and operators. But in your space, I mean, besides the fear of crashing when you guys are getting too busy and have too many customers, what do you think is the biggest headache in your role, or the biggest the fear in your role that you have on a daily basis?
Yeah, for us, actually, one of the biggest pain points is actually hardware. So, we have, and we're using iOS, so we have iPads as the point of sale. So one of the challenges we have is that we do have a set of supported devices, but everyone doesn't necessarily use the same devices. And there's different barcode scanners, different weigh scales, and then even if they're using the right products, there's Wi-Fi issues. Some connect through Bluetooth, some connect through somewhat convoluted means. So it's just when you're running as many transactions as we're running, there's always some little glitch happening, and it often has to do with the hardware and disconnecting hardware, and that's really, really frustrating for customers. And that's kind of what we're most worried about is we can keep improving our software, but the hardware we have less direct control over. So we're looking at ways of actually maybe even looking at Android and other solutions to get closer to the hardware so we can have an overall better and more managed experience for our customers. But that's the one that we have the least control over it directly. And there's also a lot of old devices out there in the field, and we have to still support them, and it's just can be a challenge sometimes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Apple's always been a headache for us as well. They're very stringent. Yeah. So you have to get everything exactly with them. But
Exactly.
Android, there's a lot of work around and wiggle room in there. But that's interesting that you say it. So I remember I spoke with Ben, a year or so ago, and I was asking him about your guys' staff. And like you guys had a ton of staff, and a lot of it was dedicated to support, probably for this particular reason. I would say, how much of your company do you think right now is dedicated to the support side of, facilitating some of the dispensaries that are having issues with hardware and things like that?
Yeah, I don't know the number offhand, but a decent amount. But I would say less than probably in terms of a total amount of the company, probably less than a year ago. In that we've upped some of our processes. We've actually tried to also leverage. We find a lot of times a better experience with a kind of a bridge with chat. So using online plus phone plus a few other channels, using them more efficiently to kind of to get to the problem. Because sometimes it's on the phone it's hard to reproduce, and if you can copy and paste or do other types of things with chat, sometimes that leads to a better experience. Sometimes customers just want to talk to somebody on the phone. That's also available.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do remember there being a huge focus on helping your clients and holding their hand through the process and making it easy. And I do just remember kind of seeing your marketing material. Ease of use is a big part of it, which is huge in this industry, especially. You guys are doing great things. I'm seeing a lot of growth in your sector, and you guys are just dominating that sector, which is awesome. Is there anything you want to add before we go?
No, I think we've got it pretty well covered. I'm excited to keep hearing about TRICHOMES, and got a lot of really great content on here. I'm look forward to more great information.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, we have our own app that's coming out, so everybody stay tuned for that. Maybe we can hopefully get Greenbits on the app as well. And we enjoyed having you on the show, and thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jason. It was a pleasure.
Once again, I want to thank Sarvesh Mathur with Greenbits for coming on to the show. And for all your cannabis news, visit trichomes.com. If you have any questions for the show, email us at techandcannabis@trichomes.com. I'm Jason Kitamura, and thanks for joining us today.